Now, Transnet's latest financial results paint a gloomy picture for the South African economy. This is a warning by the African Rail Industry Association. Now, the state-owned logistics company reported a loss of billions of rands for the year 2023, and not for the first time. The state-owned company is crucial to the country's import as well as export operations, but has not been able to get to grips with the widespread vandalism and the cable theft, which we are all very much aware of. Mesela Kope-Nhlapo, the African Rail Industry Association CEO, joins us this morning. A very good morning to you, Mesela, and thank you so much for your time. As I mentioned, the loss and the decline and the revenue that Transnet has been experiencing has been quite consistent. Last year, you, as the African Rail Industry Association, were also very vocal about this. What do you make of the consistent loss? We know it's due to vandalism. We know it's due to the challenges that are being faced by the rail industry.
Good morning, Tamini. Good morning to your viewers. The challenges that are faced by Transnet are not Transnet's problem alone. It's a South African problem. And the reason that I say so is that the vandalism that takes place, it takes place around communities. And as communities, we need to start owning the infrastructure that belongs to us anyway, and realize that the vandalism, what it means is it's job losses, is job retention is uncertain, and we have to. And we have no choice but to work with Transnet. We have already started have a good relationship with Transnet. We are doing a number of projects that would require their permission to access the network. So yes, but the decline. But we South Africans, we're resilient. If I give up what has Ntombi Futi and Nhlanhla in the township, I have to give people hope. I have to make sure that the black girl does not experience gender-based violence because they don't have a job. So it is my duty, God-given duty, to ensure that the railways works.
That being said, one cannot take the responsibility completely away from Transnet. We know the situations that we are facing in the country. We know that vandalism is a problem. So why then not beef up security? In your view, has enough been done by Transnet to mitigate the current challenges?
I understand that there is a security cluster that has been created, and obviously what they do is not available to the public. I mean, that was communicated through the forum that we sit on as well, and that is from the WUSA and the network perspective. So security is there. There's been a decline. Hotspots have been identified, and I think that we are fortunate to have had a decline to show that the security services or subcontractors that have been appointed now are really showing results. And I think that what is motivating for the decline is that I think the way the contract is structured, that if we have a loss, you don't get paid. So it's a good strategy to have for Transnet. But the ins and outs of what Transnet has in terms of security, I think Transnet is best suited to answer that question.
And perhaps if you could talk to us about profitability and how the underspending from Transnet has impacted profitability over the years, and how you believe, as the African Rail Industry Association, that could be turned around.
The profitability issue, we must understand where Transnet comes from as an organization, and where we are. The world is changing, and we need to change with it. And the profitability, we work in the mining sector, which accounts for a significant a percentage of our GDP. So in our assessment, particularly for the mining industry, is the coal that is exported. That in itself supports a number of industries. It affects the mining companies, the work that they do in their areas of operation. It affects training. It affects the subcontractors, particularly SMMEs. So those, I think that the coal line has been identified as a hotspots, and I think that they may possibly spending more resources on the coal line. The Exaros of this world will definitely benefit. The Anglos of this world will definitely benefit, and we need to get our minds going and get the rail working again. The infrastructure, we as the rail industry, we need to work with communities. We need to make sure that they understand that the infrastructure is an infrastructure that will bring the pillow paper train. So on the profitability side, we understand where the profit comes from, but we have done a diagnostic. We are now in a season of changing things. So we expect that the next year's result may be better or increasing slightly, hopefully significantly, with a new board that is in place today.
Mesela, I remember a time when the rail services were prime, a time when there was a level of pride, a time when they were working efficiently, and a time where we as South Africa and South Africans really had ownership of our infrastructure and ownership of the services that we once had. And we certainly hope that there will be a turnaround, that we can return to those glory days. I mean, you started off actually our conversation this morning just alluding to the importance of that in our societies. So maybe let me give you the last word on that. Just your final vision for what you hope and what you believe the infrastructure at Transnet and the rail services can provide for South Africans, not only on the business front, but also from a social perspective.
I would rather want to take it this way when I speak about South Africa. At the 24th Ordinary Session of the African Union, the PICI, it was resolved that South Africa will champion the manufacture of rail rolling stock. So we have a duty from the continent perspective. CFTA, the railways will be much, much more required to ensure that intra-Africa trade increases, and it increases significantly. We have a responsibility as South Africa, and based on more than 100 years of experience, to take our brothers and sisters on the continent, to integrate this continent, to make sure that as Africans, we prosper. We stand for the revitalization of the sector. We stand for transformation of the sector and advocacy of the sector to ensure that our members' interests are addressed, but working with government is vital. We are not going to stand on the side and complain only, but we are going to be part of the solution.